Hi, this is Robin the Generous Stitcher, and welcome to the 2025 Thanksgiving WIP Parade. I'm going to start off though with the regular Flosstube features, and so I had hoped to have more finishes, and I will show one of the things that I've finished stitching during the classes section when I get to my WIPs. But the one thing that I have had finished, and you've seen this before, is the Lindy Stitches Japanese Bantam, and this has now been laced. A friend of mine showed me how to do that, and so I still have to do a little bit of finishing to it to stick it on. I have to do all the painting and gluing. This is from Chantel 141. It's a barn. It will be painted, and I'm going to paint it with acrylic, probably really diluted, so that you can see all the finishing parts. So this barn has, you know, planks like regular barns. It's got a silo. It's got some rivets here, and I want those to all show up. And then it has a, you know, some trim, and so I need to paint the trim and glue it onto the barn. And the trim is going to be green, and the barn's going to be red, and this will match my great niece's chicken quilt that my mom made for her. That's red, white, and green. But you know, obviously this is not red, white, and green. It has some red in it, and some things that are sort of a blue-green, so it won't be too far off. But anyway, so I have to get this done, and I was hoping I was going to do it last weekend, and I got really busy with other things last weekend. So so that's the only finishes that I've got for the moment, and I want to get this. I really want to get the Jingle Ball stuff done, and then I can have time to work on this, I hope. So I don't want the kitties to like bash into all the stuff, but I also want to make sure that I can show stuff and then set them aside, and I'm going to be starting and stopping the video so that it's easier for me to like clear off a pile of the stuff that I've gone through, get the next pile like that. So all right, curated cross stitch collection. Oh, I'm gonna do something. Yeah, no, let's do the curated cross stitch collection because I don't have that much of it, but I do have. Put the barn down somewhere, get my spreadsheet out of the way. I've got it like an unboxing. So Helen D was talking on a recent extra Flosstube about things that people might want to get, and so I bought myself an early Christmas present, which I have no idea if this is going to work out, but it is an A4 bright pad, which is like a light box. People use these for diamond painting. I don't really know how that works because I don't do diamond painting. Just trying to, man, these are complicated tabs. I'm going to tear the tabs even trying to get these open. How in the world does that work? I hate these things because then, you know, you basically, you're trying to get these tab things out and you're breaking your fingernails all the while. And, oh, okay, that was a bigger tab than I thought. All right, so now that I have my cross stitch lamp here, and it has a little thing that shields sunlight from going through it, and that just fell off. So I'll pick that up in a minute. So anyway, this is nice. Okay, so it's just, you know, this is the part that lights up. I thought it had a thing that stood it up, but that's okay if it doesn't, because I kind of wanted to use it for a particular purpose for tracing. Okay, maybe all of the pictures showed like a little stand, so you hold it up so it's like tilted, but that's okay, because what I want to do with it is put something on it, and then I'm going to trace it onto graph paper to make my pattern. And so anyway, it's got charging cords, and I'm just going to put it back in the box. This was a Black Friday special, so you know, even if it doesn't work, I was only out 20 bucks. So lots of noises. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the ground and pick up my cap thing for my lamp. So hold on. All right. I never remember to hit the pause button. I hit the start stop, and so then it stops it, and I have to go on to another thing. I did purchase, let me see, oh good, it's right here. So I did go up to Portland to find something, and of course they don't sell it anymore. And then a friend of mine with more experience is like, oh, you don't need that, just use this. And so we did. But while I was on this fruitless Saturday, marching around Portland to stores that didn't have what I want, it was very frustrating. I did go, the first stop I went to was Pioneer Quilts, which is in Milwaukee. I think it may be just outside of Milwaukee, because so there's Gladstone, Milwaukee, and that's near Sellwood in Portland, which Sellwood's a neighborhood in Portland near one of the bridges. So I'm not sure where the borders are for that part of Clackamas County, like where Milwaukee starts and stops. I just think of it as Milwaukee, but it's sort of where I was sort of outside the downtown of Milwaukee, and then I went into the downtown of Milwaukee. This is Oregon, not another more famous, larger city. And so Pioneer Quilts, they have a room that is just fabric for Halloween and Christmas. That's worth going, just looking at, if nothing else. And then they have another store or another building that has more quilting fabric. They have embroidery floss. They have a few cross-stitch patterns. The thing is Pioneer Quilts is in a pioneer mansion from, our early days in the state. And it's just this huge, it's on a corner lot. It literally was a mansion. So when I'm saying this is in one building and that another building, it looks like part of it was in maybe some outbuildings of where the mansion was. I couldn't tell, but they're unusual architecture. So they sell Cosmo flosses. So I was in their shop, and it was a fruitless errand, but I wanted to patronize them. So I got some Cosmo flosses in really pretty colors. And I also got some of this Sashiko embroidery floss. And I don't do that kind of embroidery, but this is a variegated purple, and this is sort of a variegated with like red with some green, kind of Christmassy. So I thought maybe I could find something to use these for, or use them in crafting or finishing of some sort. So anyway, then the next place I was sent to that they said, well, maybe they have what I was looking for, which they didn't, was Mills End Fabric, which they have. I think their original shop is in Milwaukee, downtown Milwaukee, and then There is another one over by the Beaverton Library in Beaverton, Oregon, which is closer to Acorns and Threads. So I got this button. There, that's a nice view of it. And I thought this would look really good on the Festive Forest muffin top. You know, I always say if a biscorno and a drum had a baby, this is what it would look like. So I got this to put on the top of it. All right. And then I had been talking to Katie at Cynthia's of Bend, and so I had purchased an Ultra punch needle tool. I have a Nurge hoop, which I've told may not be strong enough, and I have weaver's cloth, and I have several patterns, and I obviously have lots of floss too. So I signed up for Teresa Koget's class in Jingle Ball this year, but I'm not going to pre-stitch anything. I just want to go to the class, listen to what she has to say, watch what she does, and then do something that might be simpler than that purse. So I have a number of Halloween patterns and things I can try. And a friend of mine was saying how much that they'd like to learn to do punch needle, and they're not the only one who has said that to me recently. In fact, a second person told me that recently, I think at our stitch group, I think it was somebody from the stitch group. So I'm talking to Katie at Cynthia's of Bend to try to see if we can schedule a punch needle class in Bend, Oregon. So more details when they're known, which winter is here or coming to the Cascade passes, so we probably won't do this till later in the year. And it will also kind of depend, I think, on what Acorns and Threads is scheduling for their 30th anniversary. I know some of the designers who are coming. I know a couple of the designers about when they're going to be here. From what was said to me months ago, it may have changed. But anyway, so getting closer, as they say in Texas, fixing to start. Or fixing to start. So one thing that Katie, because their shop is a sewing machine quilting shop, they had a wholesaler that they could get these needle cases. And what these are for is you thread 10 needles and you put them in this thing, and then it will feed you a fresh needle when you finish a floss. And so if you're doing a monochromatic, you take 10 needles, put the same floss on it, and then you just go through, and then you don't have to take your time to oh shoot, I need to rethread this needle, I need to get some floss off. You do it all at once, you have it ready to go. This is also this is something, it's for monochromatic, for sampler stitching, and quilting, according to Anna from Stitch Roadies. So anyway, so I got 4 of these because I can think of 4 patterns that I have that would benefit from something like this. And I could stitch faster. So then the other thing I had seen this particular pattern, which is a Birds of a Feather. I believe Pam stitched it on Just Keep Stitching, and I liked it. At the time, I didn't know the legend about Poor Jack. So this is Poor Jack, and I will give you the short version of the legend. Supposedly, this may be how jack-o'-lanterns got started. So Jack is a sort of generic, how we say John Doe for someone who's a man who's unknown. In the British Isles and Ireland, they would call someone Jack, like Jack Tar was like a sailor. And so Jack was a man who was not a nice person. He had lots of faults. He, you know, did bad things to people. And he knew he was going to go to hell because he was just a bad person. And so he made a deal with the devil that the devil wouldn't take him. And then when he eventually died, heaven was like, oh, well, no, you know, you're not coming here. And so he was cursed to roam the earth. And back in those olden days, they would carve out, yeah, I'm pointing to the right spot. They would carve out, this is a little jack-o'-lantern, they would carve out a turnip or a gourd. So, I mean, this is before pumpkins were discovered, because pumpkins were in North and South America. They were not in Europe. But turnips and other kinds of gourds were in Europe, or could have been in Europe. And so people would carve out one of those root vegetables, and then they would put a candle, you know, some tallow or something in there, and then that would be a little teeny hand lantern that you could have. So poor Jack roams the earth with his lantern because he has nowhere to go. So I liked it. I didn't know at the time the legend, but now I do, and I still like it. So, oh, and this is Colorado Cross Stitcher has the licensing to and she is recharting some of these so that they will be in flosses that are not, I mean, some of these birds of the feather patterns are old enough. If you get an original one, some of the floss colors don't match what's current. So she is recharting some stuff and putting newer flosses on some of them from what I've been told. So anyway, that was the only pattern I got. And gee, my ort boat. All right, and then the last bit of haul that I have is I got my fabric of the month, which is Antoinette, which is sort of a medium blue with, you could see some models of lighter color. And so I kind of had a hard time with this one. A lot of times when I've gotten a Mystic fabric of the month, this is Mystic 36 count linen, and this one I kind of had a hard time with because I had just gone through this matching up fabrics with patterns, and I had done a bunch of things that, like, sort of ocean themed things that might like this color, and so I was kind of stuck about, it's a little darker, so you know, I was looking at some spring patterns or summer patterns, and they were like, yeah, those are like, you know, this would be kind of too dark for them. So I went through like several of my just cross stitch magazines, and basically had like several that, if I can find it, I should have like, yeah. Oh, one thing I did find in the Just Cross Stitch is they have this 12-sided pansy ball. Pansies are my favorite flower, and so this is the only reason I kept this magazine. But it was like, ooh, you do this on Lugana, the 3 different colors, and you know, so that's something in my future. And I decided for planning this coming year as sort of a goal for starts is, you know, I have acquired so much stash over the last 3-4 years that I'm getting to the point where, you know, I'm in my 60s. I plan to stitch into my 90s, assuming I don't develop arthritis, and it's pretty, you know, I'm still pretty nimble. And so I've been kind of keeping track of how many starts can I do, how many finishes can I do, how many patterns and kits do I have in my stash, and I'm getting up there to 25, 28, 30 years of worth of stuff. And so I decided that I would kind of go through my just cross stitches and try and get some things out of here that I had originally bought the magazine and liked. So that pansy ball is one of them. And so I was looking at the summer cross stitch one, and it's on page 38. Getting close. Yeah, there's a couple Americana ones on this. Oh, got a little bit of linen from the Japanese bantam on me. So I'm going to carefully pop this up because the pattern is right below the picture. So there's another pattern and picture on the other side. So I'm looking at this thinking this might be something I could stitch on that blue fabric. And so that's one thing. And oh, there was another thing I liked too. Let me see if I can pull that up because that's something I really enjoyed. And it's similar to one of the WIPs I'm going to show in the WIP parade in a few minutes. Just trying to get to the right page without showing anything. Oh, good. So I love koi and I love koi ponds, and I wish I could have one. So this one might work on that darker fabric. So those were the couple things that I thought of that I could use this for. And I haven't found a fabric yet for my Jeannette Douglas Christmas stitches. So another thing I thought of doing is, this is the Just Cross Stitch Christmas issue from this year. I think it's this year. I think I just bought it because I was looking at this going, man, there's a lot of things in here. Most of the things on the front cover I don't like, except for this Santa, but there's a lot of stuff inside of it that are just really cool and amazing. And so they have like 88 pictures of all the projects. And so yeah, there's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this one's got these snowflake biscornus that are in a dark blue. Yeah, I have like some Weeks Dye Works Delft that might work on, or yeah, that one's a little too light for that. But looking at this Santa, it is a, what page is it on? 27. It is a full coverage, and yeah, the page is all patterned and this tiny little thumbnail. So some of this is full coverage, but some of these blues I could basically leave unstitched and have the blue fabric showing through. And this is an ornament, small piece, but I kind of hate to waste the color of the blue. So that's a thought. But anyway, so that's looking through some of my magazines. So I have talked about this before, about having some goals about doing some digital pieces that I have on my hard drive, which I am, from doing sals, but I don't want to start more than, I've got 2 sals right now. I don't want to start another until I finish one. And then I've got a couple samplers. I don't want to start any more samplers till I finish one of those. But basically having a wide variety of different pieces. So I have some progress in making it through my stash, but also doing different kinds of things, because I am an eclectic stitcher, and that's okay. And also I have a number of kits, and so I'm like, okay, you really need to take one of those Lenarte kits out, and they aren't like big one necessarily. I've got a pansy one that's kind of smaller. So it'd be nice to, and I've had those for, gosh, 20 some years. And it would be nice to like get those stitched. So, all right. So that is pairing and some plans and the curated cross stitch collection and some finishing news. Let's get into the parade. Okay, so I'm gonna do the WIPs in a kind of groupings. And so the first one I wanted to show, because it's the closest to finishing that I have, are the Jingle Ball 2025 WIPs. And so I mentioned that, probably should do the unzipping and things. I mentioned that I'm not going to pre-stitch the Teresa punch needle project, although I do have the PDF for it. I also got the PDF for Jeannette Douglas's Specialty Stitches, and I don't yet know what I'm going to use to stitch this. I was hoping that I was going to have some time to go through some of my stash and pick a fabric to do this on, but it hasn't happened. And last week, Thanksgiving kind of coalesced so that I got volunteered to do it. So my mother-in-law is doing the turkey, and she bought some pies, and I'm doing everything else. And we don't know who all are going, if it's going to be 4 people or 5 people or 7 people plus kids. So, but she's been stressing a bit about the food quantity, and I'm like, no, you don't need to worry about that. You got the turkey, you've got pies. I'm gonna make some pies. I may not bring them, but I am also making all the vegetables and the starches, and got some rolls, yeah, and a cheese plate and a relish plate. So, because that's how I roll, you know. I love I love Christmas. I love the traditional Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know, turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and lots of gravy and green peas. And I'm making pomegranate carrots. I'm making mojito yams, which is a variation of a Rachel Ray recipe. So there's going to be a lot of food. So anyway, Jeannette Douglas Specialty Stitches. I'm going to start this weekend because after Thanksgiving I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I am just going to stay home and stitch, and I may be going to Acorns and Threads on Saturday if they have the icing silk for the other class I'm taking, because I am getting down to not very much left. And let's see, yeah, this is about all I got, which is probably enough for stitching, but I'm supposed to use it to finish too, so I really need to get some more. And that was part of the reason why I was thinking that I was only going to finish 2 of the pairs in time for the class, so I would have some silk to do the finishing. And you know, I did get the kit, so I have all of the other finishing materials, but like I say, the silk's getting down there. So put that back in, and there's what the kit looks like. And I'm hearing cars, and it's much too early for the spouse to be home. So I try to film this on the night that he works late. So, and so so I am stitching these on Lapin loops, 18 count AIDA. There's the Noel pear. And this is the start of the, or about half of the Joy pear. And I was going to do these two on the Lapin loops, and then I was going to do there were 3 pairs in the kit, and then you also got a bonus pattern which has a rocking horse on it, and I'm not going to do the rocking horse, at least not at the moment. Maybe I could do it on this one. So this is Pistachio by Atomic Ranch. It's also 18 count, and I was going to do the pair without the words on this one, the original one from the pattern. So, all right, and just wanted to pull it out. So this is what they looked like, the model stitched on Aztec Red. So I had some Aztec Red, and one of my friends is doing hers on Joy Lynn Atomic Ranch, 36 count and 18 count AIDA. That's equivalent to 36 count linen. So anyway, that's where we are, and I had hoped to work on this weekend, but again, I had a really busy weekend and got the Japanese bantam laced, but I didn't really get any much stitching. I think I worked on one WIP, and so all right, now got to do a little reorganization of the stack. But I have all the Jingle Ball stuff. So I have 2 other WIPs. Excuse me. I have 2 other WIPs from other classes, and so this is one of the WIPs. I have not started the sampler, count be correct. This was from the Jeannette Douglas class that was at Acorns and Threads in April of this year, 2025. And it came with, I don't know if I have a, oh, I do have a picture. Ah, good. So it came with 3 different smalls, and I am working on the scissor fob. And you know, I like the colors for the sampler, but I wanted to do the scissor fob in something that was more me. And so, and a friend of mine who's also doing, the same friend who's doing the Christmas pears, you know, she and I both decided to do something. Oh, and my friend Tammy from Woodland Stitching Studio, she also changed the color on her. I think she did the scissor fob too. And so, you know, Acorns and Threads has a ton of silk as well as a ton of cotton flosses. So I just grabbed some Gloriana that I liked, which was fuchsia, which is kind of a signature color. And so I started working on this during the class. I made a mistake. I decided to frog some stuff. So then when I picked it up, and it had been the Christmas pears I've been ongoing stitching on since I started them on the 2nd of November. The Jingle Ball specialty stitches I'll start this weekend, probably on the 29th or 30th. And so count be correct, I started that on the class date, which was April 5th, and I had not touched it for 7 months. And so when I picked it up, let me see. Okay, my camera just does not do a good job with putting these stitches in. I get them up close, but then they're too fuzzy. I put my finger there, that might be a little better. So you'll notice the one at the bottom, the petal at the bottom is lighter than the petal at the top. And that's because I started stitching with a lighter pink, and then I was like so excited I took my darker pink and started stitching on it. Well, that was the part that he needed to frog. And then I just was like, okay, I'll frog some of it. I'll tack down the silk that I've already used, and then I'll just continue stitching with the darker. And it'll have a lighter petal, but this is for me, so I don't really care. And this is on 36 count old stationery. That's from Serafina and linen. And so that's what I got to show for myself. And this petal is now complete, and this one got started. So that was the amount of stuff that I got done on this particular class piece. Put it back in the project bag. And then I have one final class WIP that I've been working on. And this was a class that was, I believe, October 5th. And it was Little Violet. And I actually did this class as a Zoom because it worked with wool, and I'm allergic, so I wanted to stay out of the shop when they had wool. And so the main piece is doing this Berlin work style, like little thing that then you frame it in a hoop, in an oval. And so this is actually on like, what do you call it? Legacy linen is 38 count Fuller's Teazel, and this is not something that's available. This was sourced for the class, and so it's a Verosois silk and 1 strand over 2. And so what I worked on, I started with the browns, and so where I am is right down here, and I had done some of them in the class and realized that that 38 count is not something my eyes want to do, and my eyes were actually fatigued when I finished the class. So I can work on this without magnification or with a little bit of magnification, but I have such a complicated prescription, I can't just put multiple readers. My eyes are super nearsighted, so taking off my glasses helps, but then adding more magnifications can be tricky because I have astigmatism. And so anyway, so this is as far as I've got, and I will put a picture of this on the video so you can see it, the stitches in better quality. So again, this is something, it's cute. I really like, I mean, this is like the first version of popcorn. And this was Victorian. It was very popular at the time. It was just when the Industrial Revolution allowed all these chemical, flourishing of chemical dyes and industrial chemistry. So you could stitch things that were not plant dyes and that were just bright and, you know, like my sweater. So anyway, that's Little Violet. That is Susan Standley, A Stitch in Time. That's her Flosstube, and that's her business. And so she was the person teaching the class. All right, so I'm moving on to the next group. All right, I don't know if this next section is going to be a treat or nostalgic or groans. Because when I first started stitching, I used to put things in big plastic boxes. And so I have 2 of these for a couple different WIPs. And actually this one's got multiple WIPs in it. And I gotta kind of be a little careful because if Max comes to jump up to have his food, then he's gonna be a little upset. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 WIPs that I started 12 or more years ago. My oldest WIP I started in 2001, and a friend of mine wants me to finish it for her. and I will show that in a minute. And then I also had a WIP that was sort of a, I have two WIPs in here that are UFO, sort of UFOs. One of them is a definite UFO because I've sold the book that, this is the infamous Griffin butt. I sold the Celtic pattern book that this came out of. And I also put it with specialty flosses on a towel, which is ridiculous because these will run, but I didn't know that, 25 years ago. But anyway, what I need to do, and it's just killing me, is frog everything so I can recycle this towel. I just don't want to, I don't want to Goodwill it as it is. It's actually so old, it's looking sort of yellowy. So yeah, so I need to like do something with this so I can get it out of my hair. And then the other thing that had been a UFO was this. And I don't know if there's, so when I started doing this, this was actually on this end of the pattern, but it looked easier to start from this end, but I don't like to start from that end, so I like to start in the bottom. So I took the pattern, and this is a pattern that I made, and I just flipped it upside down and started stitching it from the opposite corner. And I don't know if that can work. But this is something I created 22 plus years ago. And so, I was a brand new stitcher, and I'm gonna be highlighting serious mistakes I've made with some of these early patterns. Maybe this is mistake number 2, mistake number 3 is coming up. But anyway, I do not know. I made 2 different patterns for myself, and I started stitching them on an 18 count AIDA. And this one is 129 by 90. And so it's like just over 7 wide and 5 inches high. And so one of them was a piece of statuary at Glom's Castle in Scotland, and one of them was a scene from someone's terrace in Santorini, Greece. So I think because this is all the green here, I'm thinking it's the Scottish one, but I'm not sure. So, but I did look at the pattern that I have, and the pattern and the colors of the flosses, and I'm like, okay, this pattern are these flosses from this pattern, and now I can do something. I can stitch this right side up. I don't know, but I want to stitch this, okay? Because this is something I created, and I do want it to be finished. So then the other thing, I'm looking at I know how much, yeah, I may have to stop this video and restart it just from the storage capacity on my phone. So the other older WIP that I started in 2001 is Teresa Wentzler. It's this dragon and castle, and I would say I'm about 40% done with it. And a friend of mine wants it, but I realized that the edge here, and you can't see this so much on the camera, but it's sort of stained, and probably from my hands. And so I had a stain on older AIDA thing, and I basically took a Q-tip with some Dawn dishwashing detergent. So I'm thinking I might do something like that to see if I can get some of the stain out. And then the last WIP in this particular box, if I can find is from a kit. This is Indian Peacock. It's a Dimensions kit. It's big. And so this is as far as I've got. Started at the bottom left and have gone all the way over to the other right side. And so when I worked on it, I did not touch the Scottish presumptive Scottish pattern, and I did not touch the dragon. Okay, the dragon I am going to stitch for my friend, but I'm not going to start stitching it until next year. This one I actually filled in. There's this green color, so that was not there, and I had not picked this up for somewhere between 9 and 12 years, because I got it, well, I started it in 2013, I think. So so that's what's in the mystery box. And I have another box, but it's less of a mystery, and it's something that I have that I actually stitched at Pinwist in 2023. And then I have, oops. So this is my other box, and this is Raspberry Patch One Snowman's Family. This is Aunt Mabel, who's me. And I realized the last time that I was working on this that I made a big mistake. And I didn't realize what I bought or what was sold to me back in 2003. So this is a piece of linen. I believe it's French blue. And this is big enough that I have all these little snowmen. And I've stitched them 1/1, which was not what I was supposed to be doing, but it did make them shrink, which is what I wanted to do. I thought I was buying something that was 36 count. This is 25 count linen, because I counted it twice last night. So, so this is Mabel, and I filled in a little bit more of the oatmeal Gentle Arts sampler thread at the bottom here. And then I just got frustrated because I was like, I'm doing this 1/1. I love the tiny little stitches. I really do. And I can see it. It's not a vision issue, but it is sort of frustrating. And like this is my dad. So this was supposed to be my my family as snow people. And so these three children there are my two nephews and my youngest niece. Piper is the littlest snow person there. She is a deputy, a sheriff deputy, and over 6 feet now. And my nephews are like 6'5", and all three of them are now married. And I have two other nieces on this, and my sister and brother-in-law, and my mom. So it's immediate family, and I was thinking it was going to be a gift to my sister with all of her family, but it was taking me way too long to stitch. And the more I stitched it, the more I loved it. So, and then Uncle Joe, or Santa Claus, that will be my husband. When I finish stitching me, I will stitch him. And I didn't meet him until 2000, New Year's Eve 2007, and I started kitting this up in 2003, and started stitching it maybe 2004, maybe 2003, I don't know. So it took me a while to get all the patterns, because I have my snowman's family, one snowman's family is like 10 different patterns, and I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I actually have all 10, but one of them is not is a male snowman that doesn't fit on the pattern. So yeah, so I've got 8 stitched and I have 2 more to stitch. And then I got to figure out how to put all the buttons and beads on it, because I was so, okay, besides doing the 1/1, I didn't even realize that it said, oh yeah, it requires buttons for Mill Hill and other things. And I'm like, I didn't even notice that when I was, kitting this up. And so last year, I think it was, I went to Acorns and Threads and was like, oh gosh, I need to get some of these like beads. And so I got a few of the beads and I got some more buttons. So I have quite a ways to do in terms of like finishing it up and stitching it, and try not to be too depressed about stitching it. And then at the time, I bought a full run of Gentle Arts sampler threads. Now there's a few more of them now, but these are like from 2004-ish. So yeah, so they may or may not be current colors, but that's what this required. So that is my, let's see, third. Let's see, the Castle is the oldest. Glom's is the second oldest. This is my 3rd oldest WIP. You saw my 5th oldest WIP. Now this is my 4th oldest WIP. And this was purchased sometime probably in 2003-ish. And so, yeah. Dimensions Gold Petite. And it is Kitten Reflections. So, sorry about the glare. So, koi ponds and cats, what's not to love? And I actually bobbinated the specialty flosses that came with the kit, and I haven't got very far. But again, I started at the bottom and have gone across, and so when I picked it up again, I filled in the light green here. I filled in a couple missing green and light greens that, kind of tried to fill in a couple. There were some empty spots over here, single pieces, single threads that I hadn't got over here. So anyway, that's as far as I've got. But I picked it up again and I was like, as much confetti and having to translate the specialty flosses to, what it is, I really love this. And I want to stitch on it more. So I have it in this Oregon duck bag because it's small enough, it all sort of fits, and then I just got to keep this out of the way from the cats because they'll want to eat the strings. All right, so that's my oldest WIPs. And next we're going to get into, I've filmed some of these pieces out of order, so I'm going to be stopping this one and filming the next set. So it's not contiguous with this video because I'm going to put some other videos in. Hi, so this is retreats. So I love retreats, and I feel like I'm a retreat addict in some way. So my first retreat ever was Pinwis 2023. Then my next retreat was the Gathering of Acorns in January 2024, and so I had one in 2023. I did 3 in 2024, and I did 9 counting Jingle Ball that's coming up this week or next week. So yeah, kind of seeing a problem and planning my entire year calendar over what retreat I'm going to be going to. But anyway, and the funny thing is I almost half the time, yeah, let's see, how many things do I have here? I have 4 pieces. Okay, I've been to 13 retreats. I've only started 4 pieces. I have not finished any of them. And and I've never started the Pinwist retreats. I always start the Acorn Gathering retreat because it's, you know, not necessarily, it's one thing. And so far I've gone to 2 retreats with 1120 Crafters, and I've started one of their projects, which I'm going to show in a minute. And Jingle Ball, I've been to 1 Jingle Ball, and what did I do? I don't remember if I did more than 1 class for Jingle Ball 2024, but I started it. And then Jingle Ball 2025, I am taking 3 classes, and after this, before Jingle Ball starts, I will have pre-stitched 2 of the classes. One of them you've already seen, and I've already talked about it. So anyway, the second retreat I'd ever gone to was Gathering of Acorns. Fox and Rabbit were the guest designers, and this pattern is now available as of sorry, maybe I need more caffeine. Nope, I put it in the fridge. So the this is the documentation of this pattern that we got in the retreat said Gathering of Roses, so I assume one of the seasonal gathering will be roses. But so far it's Gathering of Acorns, which was for Nashville 2025. So this is as far as I've gotten, which isn't very far if you look at all the acorns and figures and stuff. But I started with the house. I decided it was easy to do while I was watching TV. I don't watch TV very much, but and now that I'm finished with the house, well, I'm not finished with the house. I'm getting down into the I finished the main part of the house. I finished, and so I am struggling with the foundation, with the color changes, which I need to figure out a way to motivate myself, because I do want to finish this piece. So this is on AIDA. It was my second retreat, so I was kind of intimidated to pick the linen. This is Up in the Attic, also Fox and Rabbit. And let's see, so I had touched this in October, yes, and so touched it again during November this year, and I had started it on the January 28th of 2024, which was when the Gathering of Acorns was held, and so that's it for that one. Again, I'm hoping to work on it and get further along so I could take it off my WIP list. And yeah, but that foundation is driving me to give it timeouts, because it's not an enjoyable part of the rest of the piece. And other people who were at the retreat with me who have, I believe, finished theirs also kind of had a problem with the foundation. It was, the color changing and stuff was just not as much fun. But I do want to finish it, and I probably will be interested to see the other seasons as they're released. I don't know the timing of that release, but anyway, I've showed this little bag before. We got a little bag, and I put all the flosses and my scissors in there. And so moving on. The second retreat, or was it this? Yeah, the third retreat I ever went to was Jingle Ball of 2024. And keep my project bag down a bit because I didn't want to show you anything. So the class I took was The Festive Forest by the Blue Flower. And this is a larger 3D piece, like about this big, roughly, kind of like smaller than a basketball, shorter than a football, but about as high as a football. Not a soccer ball, a American football. Maybe a little bit smaller than a rugby football, if I recall how big those are. So I'm working on Live and Die LA. This is Winter in My Heart. It's a Lugana, and I really ought to have I've buried my spreadsheet here with all the information. And it is, 32 count Lugana. And so I had started with the flower in the left-hand corner and some of the border that'll be stitched together to make the shape. And so the part that I had sort of finished or worked on was the flower. It's not showing up very well, but I do have a few mistakes there, but I'm not fixing it now. I did start working on the cottontail rabbit, and the only thing that I did during this last session of working on the WIP was put in this ecru, these lines of ecru that highlight the front legs of the rabbit. So love the fabric, love the color. A number of people have commented that this color was really a good choice for this piece, and all right, and I had, just giving you the nitty-gritty of when I had last touched this piece was roughly almost 1 year to the day of when I had last touched it was when I stitched on it again. I got frustrated with the cottontail rabbit, and so it went in a timeout, and I was starting to get a little bit of frustration with the flower, but it's like, I really want to work on this piece now that I've actually done a Biscornu. I feel more confident about finishing it, and so those are things that make me want to work on it. All right, and then the third retreat Pinwis, Acorns. This is the fourth retreat I went to, was again Acorn Gathering for 2025, and this was Lola Crow, Acorns and Friends, and I started it in the retreat, and because basically when we go to the gathering of acorns, or gathering of nuts as we call it colloquially locally, we're told, bring your stitching supplies, don't bring fabric, don't bring floss, just bring your needles, your scissors, other sort of accoutrement that you need to stitch with, and then they give you everything. And this is Sea Foam, which is a Weeks Dye Works linen, and this is 36 count linen, and I thought it was really pretty, but I think my friends who stitched on AIDA were a little bit more, I guess I'm being a little maybe too bluntly honest about this, but I think people stitching on AIDA had a bit of an easier time because this week's is very tight. And this was the first time I'd stitched on weeks, and you know, I will stitch on it again. I've got several pieces of it in my stash, and in fact I just bought some more last month. And so and the stitches, so I started in the left hand corner stitching along, and basically this is the first color of grass at the bottom, and that's not too bad. So I just filled in more. I don't want to poke myself with my needle, but I just stitched in another part of a row, some of the row down below, some of the row at the top. And because I was having some issues with how tight the linen was and not really liking how the stitches were laying, some people suggested to me, well, finish off that color at the bottom in 2 strands and then stitch the rest in 1 strand, which, you know, I think I will do it that way. This is in DMC, and you know, it's fun. You know, Amy, who's Lola Crow, she is local, so sometimes if we're stitching at the shop, she comes in and joins us. So anyway, this was an exclusive for Acorns and Threads. I believe that in 2026 it will be nationally distributed, but I'm not sure. I do know for 2025 it's been exclusive to our local shop. Okay. And finally, the retreat that I had in October, 11/20 Crafter Retreat, or sorry, this is in May of 2025. This was the 11/20 Crafter Retreat, and the Beth Twist made us a bag out of, so this is basically some music, America the Beautiful, and we got all of the finishing supplies to make a needle book. Sorry, I'm crackling this brown paper. A needle book or a drum. And so I started doing the needle book, and there's a picture. Yep, there's a picture of all of us at the retreat, and it's a small retreat. And the recommended fabric is Maple Bar by Cedar River. And when I was in the retreat, it's only 3 colors of floss, and I had started stitching the white portion of, and it also, by the way, came with a larger sampler if you wanted to continue to do this Quaker-esque theme in this larger sampler. I like that too, so I purchased it. And so see if I can get the pictures out here. I think maybe they're, oh, here they are. Okay. I kind of poured things out of the bag, and things are kind of like in a jumbled, so. All right. So this is the needle book and the drum. And so I started the needle book, and the part that I'm stitching, which is, gosh, hard to see in this photograph, maybe you can see it if I have the light shine on it, there's white stitches here and here. Now, I don't believe that this model stitch, well, it says it was stitched on Cedar River Maple Bar, but when I was stitching this, yeah, looking at the photo with my eyes, yeah, I just had a hard time seeing, I think it was Arrowroot was the lighter color, kind of whitish. That's Weeks Dye Works flosses, and grits, or gosh, which one? It didn't come out of the bag when I pulled it out. Pour everything out here. Oh yes. So I felt like grits. I went back into the shop, Cynthia's Bend, and I picked some other Weeks Dye Works that were similar white or off-white, and I felt grits was like the next shade lighter than Arrowroot, and I could see it much better on the Arrowroot. I don't know if you can see that so well, but Arrowroot was a bit more, what is that, like a peach color, and this is a little like whiter yellowy color. So I this was an overnight trip for me, and I stayed at a hotel that I won't stay at again, and I just didn't sleep well, and so when I came into the retreat, my eyes were hurting before I even looked at anything, and I felt bad. I pulled out one of my own projects and stitched on it, which people enjoyed seeing, but I just felt really like I was disrespecting Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery. But so I had started this on May 3rd of 2025, and I had, if I can get over find my place here, Simple and Free is the pattern by Heartstring Samplery, and again I started May 3rd, and then I restarted it on November 18th. So I will show a picture of how it looked like with the other floss, but this is what I was able to stitch with the grits, and I can see that much better, and so I will be continuing to stitch that. And the other two called for flosses for the pattern are Cayenne and Fathom. Love Fathom, and I've stitched with Cayenne before. So these two are the red and blue parts of the red, white, and blue. And so, it's kind of a simple thing to stitch, and I'm hoping that I can get to it again as I have time. And and that had been a pause of 6 months, and then when I knew I was going to restart it, during that time. And so as I have gifts, the gifts kind of push everything to the side, and then I can work on other things that aren't gifts as I have time. So that's all the retreats. Okay, the next section is stitch-alongs, and I have 2 stitch-alongs. One of them is too young to be an old retreat, but it's the oldest of my newer retreats, and that is Halloween Crystal Ball by Tiny Modernist. And I had seen this online. I think I'd seen it in a Flosstube, and I thought, oh, that's cute. And I really liked the bug-eyed cat, and I liked the skull, and then I liked the color palette, and so which is very simple. I mean, it's only got like 2 greens, 2 oranges, black and white. So it's really simple in terms of the flosses. It is not simple in terms of the stitching. This is stitching a round object, which my stitchy friends tell me, oh, that's never easy, which, you know, in 2022, I had never stitched a modern cross-stitch designer's piece. And you don't know, and I'm not even sure I know how many times I restarted just this part of the crystal ball. and I still made a mistake down here, but I think it's, you know, it didn't change the shape. I think I added an extra stitch in one section, so instead of it's a block of 4 instead of a block of 3. And and I did, when I picked this up again, I did fill in the lighter coral orange colors in the flower, and did again some of the stem. And so I had started, and I thought, I'll just do the border, which is the crystal ball. I'll just do that. Well, then as I started having so many problems and frogging it so much, I was like, you know, I need to put a flower in, so I have like some object that I know is correct that I can anchor the rest of the piece to. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And then when I get tired of doing the black, then I go over and do some of the other. And you know, I bought this stitch along before it started, so I got the different pieces as they were released. And now I tend to buy stitch alongs. If there's 12 releases, I might buy them at stage 10. So I see more of it, you know, and make a decision then. You know, I still like this, and knew I was going to like it before I saw all of it. But anyway, so this piece I had started in July of 22 when it was released, and I had, like I say, had a hard time stitching with it. And the other thing that was difficult for this piece is it's on cobblestone Lugana, which is really dark, so that makes it a little difficult. And the other thing that makes it difficult is, this is in 2022. I had only stitched on AIDA and one piece of linen as of 2022. I had never stitched on Lugana, and besides that one piece of linen, I'd never stitched on other linens. And so when I got this fabric, it's got rayon in it, so it's slick. So it's fallen off my lap, it's fallen out of my hands, it's slipping off the table, you know, as I'm trying to stitch in hand. And I'm not gonna hoop it up just, yeah. so I had to kind of learn how to handle Lugana. And over the last 3+ years, 3+ years of stitching, I've stitched on many different linen dyers. I've stitched on different Luganas of different counts, and and things that have been, you know, this is straight from Witchelt, straight from Zweigart, or maybe not straight from Zweigart, but it is straight from Zweigart to the seller. And so I have had a lot more experience stitching with different fabrics types, and I know how to handle them. I know how to keep a grip on them if they're going to be slick. And so stitching on it was easier in some ways, but still some of the same difficulties remain in terms of the dark fabric and trying to stitch a circle. But I will eventually get it done because I like Halloween, and I want to stitch more Halloween. And it is a large piece, but you know, if I get that crystal ball, then the rest of it'll be simple. Famous last words. So that was my first cell, and my second cell is what we call here locally the Roses cell, and this is Emmeline Purnell, Hands Across the Sea. And so this is an exclusive to Acorns and Threads, and love all the roses. And don't know if I'm going to do the words. So haven't decided that yet. So this is on linen, and the original, there were 2 linen choices through the shop, and you could, oops, excuse me, hope I'm not making too many noises. There's like a little tin of beeswax, so it's always making a tinkly noise when I'm handling it. So they had Tabby Cat, just the ticket, I think, and then there's another one. I can't remember now what other one it was. One was supposed to be more pinkish, and one was supposed to be more orangish. And the Tabby Cat was supposed to be more pink, but when I got it, it was just sort of blah beige to me. And so I started wondering, like, well, what should I do it on? And I decided I really liked Mystic Fabric Atypical. Sorry, it's my needle minders are all sticking together here. Let me see if I can get them apart without losing all of my needles, which I have on one of the needle minders. I have a needle per silk color, and this is a trick that more experienced sampler stitchers have told me. And so I started in the bottom left-hand corner. This piece is a little bit larger than the roses cell will be, so I'll have some part I can chop off. So I started at this bottom left-hand corner. I started going out this way and then up, and so I had not picked it up for for 8 months. I used to, when the year started, I would pick this up and do this as a Sunday piece and basically say, okay, I want to get a flower done today, or I want to get a leaf done today, and then I could put it down and do something else. And so I only did for this pick up the whip and touch the whip these 2 silver flowers here. And that was good to show tangible progress on this piece, and it made me remember how much I loved stitching on it. It is silk. I am doing 1/2, and so it's similar to the Pears that I'm working on. And I'm gonna put it down, and when I get the Pears done, then I'm gonna pick it back up because I do like it. And so Emmeline Purnell. So those are my 2 sals, and next we're going on to the next segment. So these whips are whips that I'm doing for me, for fun, and so I don't have any. I have one whip that I started in 2023, and I have no whips I started in 2024 that aren't gifts, classes, retreats, things like that, that aren't just for me, for fun. And then I have several from 2025. And so I'm going to start with the 2023 whip, and I took this one to my first pinwhist, and I did a little bit of stitching on it there. And then I stitched on it a few months beyond pinwhist of 2023. And so it was, looking at my 14 months since I had touched this, and I like it. It's on Summer Sky Joblin, and that is a really soft fabric and a little bit slick, you know, because it's synthetic too. And so this is a memorial piece for Velveta. This is a picture taken from the end of her life, but you can see that she's really sort of a silver gray, and and she almost looked like a silver blue gray. So this piece, I have changed the flosses to be more like her actual colors based on photographs. And this is House Without a Cat by Imaginating. And it says, a house without a cat is like a garden without flowers. She loved to go outside, and she was hell to, if there was a rodent in the area, it was dead. She did try and carry a garter snake in the house once. We took care of that and released it back to the wild. I don't like snakes. And so anyway, this is the center of the piece is right in the center of all the gray fur. And then, so I started in the center, and you see I have quite a lot of space to stitch. So, and like I say, Summer Sky Joblin, 28 count. So I guess I will do the next section after the oldest WIPs. I realized, so the castle, I have not stitched it in 23 years. The gloms, I've not stitched in 23 years. One Snowman's Family, I did stitch it at Pinwist in 23, so it's been 2 years since I had picked it up. And Kitten Reflections was 10 to 19 years since I picked that up. And like I say, I really want to do it. So I'm glad to get remotivated after that extended timeout. And then Indian Peacock was very easy stitching because it's on like an ivory or ecru AIDA. And you know, those are all like 14 count AIDAs. The gloms piece is 18 count AIDA. I have on my spreadsheet that the Snowman's Family is 36 count French blue, which it is not. It's 25 count French blue, 1/1. Crazy. And so the Indian Peacock I had not touched for 9 to 12 years, my best guess. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show are gifts that I'm still working on. Gosh, do I have all of them here? 1, 2, 3. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. Yeah. Oh, I have another one I got to grab from the table. It's huge. Hold on. All right, so this gift, some of you may have seen if you stitch with me in person and at the shop. This is a Janlin kit, which is Purple Pansy Angel, and it came with all of the flosses and the ivory AIDA, and it is one giant mess of floss that I hate, because it's on these cards, and then it's like, well, what is really the DMC on these cards, some of which I've written what the DMC is. Ugh, I hate just floss, loose floss. I like bobbinating. You can say I'm weird, I don't care. It's this stuff, it's this giant mess that's tangled. And then it's hard to get at. And so I had not stitched on this. And I try to stitch on it in the shop or at friends' houses because it's this giant ball of floss that my cats, if they see that, they're gonna go crazy, because they're gonna be like, it's our toy. And so anyway, all right, so Purple Pansy Angel is on 14 count ivory, and I had not touched it for 8 months. And so try to get all the flosses down. So I've got some of the border done, as you can see, and the pansy border is just incredibly difficult. I've talked about this pattern before. It looks like it was mimeographed. A friend of mine said, well, but that was back in the days when they were hand drawing the patterns. And I'm like, you know, this doesn't look hand drawn. It looks like it's poorly copied. And so the pansy border, which I was really looking forward to do because I love pansies, is just like, oh God, kill me now. So what I did was I filled in some of the darker purple in a couple spots here. And that's what I did the last time I touched this, which was this month, because I touched 21 out of my 23 existing WIPs and made some progress in all of them that I could point out and say, this is what I did. But like I say, it had been 8 months since I had, was it 8 months? Am I looking in the right spot? Yes. So I started this in March of 2023, and I really need to work on it. And, you know, since it's 14 count AIDA, and it really is kind of quick to stitch other than all the crazy pansy popcorn. So, yeah, and just stitching that little bit made me think, oh, I really like this one. It's just like, you know, if I stitch on I need to stitch like the part that goes in the center and then grit my teeth. And, you know, Two Tall Stitchers are doing their Big Girl Challenge, and this was the runner-up to the Big Girl Challenge. So I'm going to show the other one that was the winner of the Big Girl Challenge, and it's why I bought that light box because it is. Oh dear! I got a needle sticking through my. I went to grab this, and I'm like, "What's that thing sticking out?" Oh, it's the needle. That's not good. So let me grab this one next because we can go in chronological order. This linen is so stiff. Gosh, you know, I feel like you're just going to hear me griping a lot tonight, and that's just not really. It was so nice. Some of these were so much fun to pick up and do something with. This one is fun to stitch, but this linen is just, it's like, it doesn't even unfold. And, you know, I had talked about this before. This is Witchelt Perman, and my friend was like, well, the more you touch it, the more it'll soften up. And I'm like, nah, it's not softening. So this is Wee Santa. This is Purple Pansy Angel. Like I said, I started it in March of 23. And this one I started in September of 23 because I thought, oh, this cute little Christmas small, I can do this as a gift for someone, and I'll take it to Pinwis. Yeah, it was not easy to do, and I frogged some stuff, but I am filling in the stems. The part that I did was to fill in Santa's coat, or at least half stitch Santa's coat, and so it's making progress. And one of my stitchy friends has told me more than once, those wee Santas go quick, you know, that if you start doing it, it'll go quick. And it's like, great, because I really want to. I have 23 active WIPs, and I have one that I'm starting in this weekend, and that'll be 24 WIPs. And so I will get the Christmas Pears and the Jeannette Douglas ornament done to take off of the WIP list, but I really want to. Oh, and this is Wee Santa 2023. I got it because these flowers look like quilt blocks, and I was thinking I'd give it to my mom. So, and it does have beads that come with it, and because you put beads in a few little spots around the flowers. And so, first time I believe I ever stitched with specialty flosses, and so it really will go fast when I have more time to work on it. And so it had been 13 months since I had touched it. And I started touching it again, I think last month or the beginning of this month, and the last time I worked on it was Veterans Day. So, great. Okay, I will show the easier gift, and then I'll show the one that is the big girl pants. Okay, so this pattern I saw and fell in love with in Nashville 2023, which is Flamingools, which is a zombie flamingo. And I had bunches of specialty flosses that came out that year and last year that I picked up, and I figured I'd just do different. I would not necessarily do called for flosses, but I would do things that were similar or that I liked, because there were a number of specialty flosses, and so, and I'm doing this on Lapin loops. Oops, I had a bobbin fall on my lap, and so what I did was I filled in the, trying to do this without unfolding it, and that's not going to be easy to do. Okay, so I had started this at the, I'll put it on my shoulder, see if that helps. Ah, it kind of did. Okay, so I had started this at the Cannon Beach retreat, and I had started doing the orange blocks, the orange stitches in this border, and so I filled in all the purple, and it was really easy to do, and unfortunately it was like I had to get up, you know, for work the next day or something. Maybe it was a Sunday night, and I just wanted to keep stitching. I just wanted to keep going, and I had to tell myself, nope, you gotta, you know, wear the big girl pants the next day, so you gotta be able to get up and go to work. So this one I had not touched for 4 months. Now, this is the big girl pants. Takes 2 project bags and a magnifier lamp, and it's the reason I bought the light box. So I had the bright idea, I was going to do this as a baby gift, but then it turned into a wedding, not a wedding gift, a housewarming gift, which they bought their new house last month. Yes, last month, because it's still November. So they like Studio Ghibli, and so I got this Totoro, and it's you know, around, and it's 7,700 black stitches, and I thought to myself, I got black fabric, let's just stitch it on black. Oh. Okay, you don't do that. I mean, yeah, I've put white fabric on my lap, ain't happening. Okay, I put the white fabric on the table, and no, that isn't happening either. I have my lamp here, that's right there. I have a magnifier lamp that is on the next table so I can get out of the way. Not enough. So I got the light box so I can lay that thing on it, because it really, it says it's 32 count Lugana. I'm having difficulties believing that. And it doesn't quite strain, it doesn't strain my eyes, so it's probably 36 or 32 count, but it is really hard to see. And so I needed the light box for, I'm designing a sampler, and I'm gonna need to have a light box so I can trace my patterns onto my graph paper and do things like that. You know, this is something you're not going to see for a long, long time, because I'm in the composing stages. I'm not in the charting stages yet. But anyway, this picture, this is as far as I've got. And I started doing the ear in a lighter gray, which is the part of the Totoro that's under the umbrella in the shadow. And I realized as I was getting these stitches in the lighter gray in, that one of the darker gray stitches, I had only gone over one instead of over two. And that was throwing off my counts incredibly badly. So this is the big girl pants. And Willow wants to say hi, so I'm going to try to. Oh, that's not good. There's a bobbin and a skein of floss on the floor, and if she sees those, she sees the pile of linen scraps I put there. So anyway, big girl pants. It's not that hard to stitch. It's really kind of a fun pattern, and it's not a lot of popcorn. And so I think I can get that done. It's just a matter of, hey, baby, oh, I was trying to coax her over here. Willow, honey. Oh. Did you want to say hi to your adoring audience? Nope. Hey. Nope, she wants to get into the floss that's in the bag, that Sashiko embroidery floss. She's smelling it. So I gotta do something here. Anyway, it's time to pause and move on to the next group. So I will talk to you again in a second. Okay, the final segment of the WIP parade. You've seen a few other little videos, and my neighbor Totoro, which I just showed you, that I had not touched for almost a year to the day. So you see, I talked about, I'm just looking on these to make sure that I told you, yeah, I did. Okay. I was just like, I've got like, you know, I always put like, when did I start it? What was the last time I touched it? But on this WIP spreadsheet, which I decided to do, so I have something to do for every WIP parade. Because last year I only had like 12 WIPs, so this year it's a little bit more complicated. So I put the last time, or the time gap between the time I last touched it and the time I stitched it this month in time for the WIP parade. So now I'm going to show you the thing that my friends tease me the most about, which is, what are you doing for, don't you want a dopamine well, Robin? What are you doing for yourself? And so, let me see, I'm trying to do things sort of chronologically in terms of when they got started. So, okay, I already showed that one. And I showed House Without a Cat, and which I may need to splice this video to have it in the right spot. And I showed the stuff from retreats. And so the next thing, the first thing I started for myself in March of this year, 2025, was The Snuggle is Real. And this is from Just Cross Stitch Magazine. The Snuggle is Real. This is Bothy Threads. It is available as a pattern. They may even have a kit. but you can purchase that. You don't need the magazine to stitch it anymore. And so I'm doing mine on Mint Splash because I have a bathroom which is decorated in cats, and it has some pretty dated wallpaper of flowers which are pink and green and light blue, I think. Anyway, it's busy, so all my busy cat stuff just fits just fine. So what I did on this particular slipper at the bottom is I filled in some of the lighter pinks where this had been blank spots. I filled in some of the lighter pinks. I filled in some of this. It looks purple, but it's actually like a purpley gray. So I had been stitching the purpley gray, and I picked this one up fairly routinely because it's easy, and it had been 1 month since I stitched it. The last time I stitched it now would be on the 20th of this month. And I could have continued to stitch more on it, but I knew I had, you know, a dozen plus or 14 WIPs to go. By the time when I picked this one up, I was like, okay, I need to get that done. So, because I can't really show the WIPs and the WIP parade until I get the section, the different groups, things in all the different groups done. So that was the earliest 2025. Then next is right after Fish and Ships, which I started. The Snuggle is Real I started in, let's see. I actually started that on February 18th of this year. And this one I started on February 20th of this year, Fish and Ships. And, oh, and the Mint Splash with Bothy, with the Snuggle is Real is 32 count Lugana. So this is 40 count metallic Pacific blue, which I thought was awesome for the subject matter of all the nautical, the ships and the fishes and the whales and the sea monsters. And this is 40 count. So what I'm doing so far is just the border. So what I've done is I just, you know, turn it upside down and just make little stitches because I can see where the holes are easier without using magnification. Otherwise, when I get into the other portions of this pattern, I'm going to need to use magnification, and I can only go about 40 minutes before my eyes are telling me, okay, you got to stop. So can't really get that. I think what I'm going to do is like take a photo of all my WIPs so you can see the stitches and don't depend on this crappy camera. So again, I'm doing the border. I'm just stitch, and then I was like, oh, have I stitched enough? And I think I still have at least this much to stitch on one border. So we'll see. And so that one I had, and I'm stitching it B5200 monochromatic, and this one I had, find it on my spreadsheet. It had been 8 months since I touched it because last year, well, I should say last winter, I was kind of deciding that I wasn't going to get any finishes if I didn't work on some smalls, and I had some smalls, so I decided to try and get one finish a month for Flosstube content. Yes, that is a thing we worry about. And so then I was able to work on smalls and gifts and exchanges and things and do basically a finish a month. And I did 2 finishes this month, and I think I did 1 or 2 in October, maybe just 1. I can't remember now. But anyway, so my momentum is good, and most of my WIPs now are bigger ones. But I'm going to be starting a bunch of smalls in December. So some of which are gifts, and some of which are fun things for me. So then the next thing I started last year that, yes, right after 1, 2, 3. This is what all these starts kind of inspired me. Then like, wait a minute, I'm starting too much and not finishing anything. So this one was started right after Nashville because it was a Nashville release, which was Ladybug Picnic by Hands On Design. And oh, and by the way, Fish and Chips is Long Dog, which I think everybody or a lot of people know, but I can't assume everybody knows. So so I did not want to wait for Pomegranate, which is the let's see, yeah, Pomegranate by Fabrics by Stephanie. I now own a piece of Pomegranate by Stephanie, and it is lovely. But I had my Fabric of the Month Candy Cane, which wasn't too awfully bad. It was a mottled pink, and I thought, yeah, with the different flosses and colors in this pattern, it'll go on here fine. It won't clash too badly. So yeah, so I started doing that, and I just did like about 4 stitches for a start, and then I stopped because the next stitch was like a Smyrna something, and I didn't know how to do it, and I still haven't done that yet, but I'm going to be learning. So anyway, I did this tiny little dot of green as my start. And then when I picked it up again for my WIP to show progress for the WIP parade, I did these 2 leaves and a bit of a stem. So there are some things that I can do that I won't be like stuck and holding myself up because I don't know how to do it yet. But anyway, and this was, I was like, oh, these colors are so pretty, and this is going to be so cute, and it's a small, so there's lots of motivation to work on this. And having gotten some of the deadline gifts, like the Japanese Bantam, which is a Christmas present, getting that out of the way, it's really motivated me to try and work on a lot of things. Now, it had been, I think I had not touched the Ladybug Picnic until, yeah, 8 months ago, because I started it on March 18th last year, or actually this year. So one last for fun piece, and this one is another one that if I didn't have the gifts that are the big girl pants, this would probably be another big girl pants. This is Halloween Cat, Satsuma Street. I got to meet Jody Rice at Pinwis of 2023, and I bought this, and I told her and showed her pictures of Max and Willow and said, I'm gonna do, this is Max, which is a tuxedo, so he's gonna have a little tiny white under his chin because he has his kerchief, and he has white gloves and white boots. And so you'll see where I've stitched one of his feet. And then Willow is going to be this space, and then Velveta is going to be this, because Velveta had a tail. So anyway, Halloween Cat. And Jody Rice was like, she loves cats too, so she was excited to see how this would turn out. And so again, I used Mystic Fabrics Napa, and this is a lighter purple with a lot of modeling, and it got super, I was using one of the like magnetic square hoops that are made by a Ukrainian Etsy shop, and you know, so I had, you can probably see the outline in the fabric of where that square was, at least, yeah. And so maybe It was actually on this side. Yeah, you can see like the crimping of where it was. And then I just got worried about it stretching out the linen too much. So I took it off. When I worked on it, I took it off. And this is not that big of a piece. It kind of looks big. It's got a big photograph, but it's really not that big. And on 36 count, it's not really going to be that big. And so this is Max's foot, and there's part of his leg where the black starts. And so what I did was I had a few stitches left on his boot, and then I started the black. So that's what I did to catch up on it and to have the oh boy, it's a giant ant on the. If I don't get him, the cats are gonna, he's gonna find the cat food. I'm gonna try to, there, squish him later. So that is it. That's it for WIPs. And like I say, I worked on 21 out of 23, and I'm gonna start at least one thing this weekend. I really have startitis. I've got them all charted out on the spreadsheet, so it's like, and things are kitted up, but I need to work toward finishes. Anyway, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good time. The good thing about me cooking is I get to have some of the leftovers, and but it means I need to go buy another turkey, so I have one in the freezer for Christmas. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to cook this time, but oh well. So anyway, leave some comments. I'm trying to collect, I've got 2 or 3 patterns that I was going to use for giveaways. Leave in the comments whether you think that would be something you'd like to see. Comments about the WIP parade, other things you'd like to see for content, because I had an idea for next year, but I don't remember what it was now. So anyway, thank you very much, and thanks for commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and I will see you sometime in December. Last year I only did 1 Flosstube in December. This year I will probably do 2, because I think I will be stitching different things and not being so crazed with work and with I think the last, maybe not was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before, on Christmas 23, I got sick a lot, so I didn't stitch much. But anyway, so thank you, and we'll do this again in 2 weeks.